So this is my new build. Boom, 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 boom. And we get the bell back, we get the bell back, we get the bell. Let's go! We got the Ice Lightning Monk Build online, dude. This is it, boys. You too could do this build. I promise. I don't have anything that's like pay to win gear. If you ever have a strike, like an unarmed move, that counts to stack to your bell. Look at this. Look at me, bro. I'm flying across the screen, bro. What's up? I'm SYROBE, and if you've been watching me live stream on Twitch, you already got an early preview of this build and have been waiting for this video. This is my Frozen Lightning JEDI Monk build. It's a suitable build for either Monk Ascension choice. Its main requirement being that it's an endgame build. I already made a similar Monk build for new players to get them through Acts 1, 2, and 3, but after you beat Act 3 for the first time, you'll get taken to Acts 4, 5, and 6. For the sake of early access, is basically just New Game Plus, starting you from the beginning and making all the bosses and enemies harder to kill and deal a lot more damage. Good news is, you can TP from New Game Plus back to your regular world at any time. But on top of enemies getting way more difficult, my previous build also got nerfed. My previous build video was an amazing full lightning build utilizing cast on shock, which is classified as a meta skill. However, a patch came out on December 11th, 2024, which almost completely reworked every meta skill that uses energy. To extremely oversimplify the changes, you can insert spells inside of meta skills. Meta skills cost spirit to equip and will automatically cast spells that are inside of it once you build up enough energy. The rate at which you can build energy is what the developers nerfed, some worse than others, and cast on shock being one of the ones hit the hardest. I actually tracked the exact changes of the energy cost manually, which I posted in my Discord server. Thankfully, I've tweaked my build to work extremely well, if not even better after this patch. And you can see for yourself, I'm absolutely melting bosses on New Game Plus Act 3. This is actually a triple hybrid build that pumps out lightning, cold, and physical DPS. The lightning damage applies the shock debuff, which makes shocked enemies take 20% more damage, and cold damage applies chill and frozen debuffs, making enemies stiffer until they burst. Kinda like me when I see that boss HP bar get deleted. Then, whenever you apply frozen or shock, you will also gain a power charge, making it the most efficient way to maintain infinite power charges with minimal effort. Unlike my previous build, where you had to actually use abilities to gain charges, now you gain them automatically. Again, my build is now insanely stronger even after the patch nerfs. And most importantly, it looks awesome as hell. Be sure to watch me live on Twitch for the fastest updates to all my builds. This build has very few buttons. These are all you need to press, shredding bosses and clearing screens with ease. I will say the biggest negative to this build is that it will require at least 120 spirit, and it's a bit of a glass cannon. But do you really need defense if something dies this fast? Your main basic attack is Tempest Flurry. Using this can almost instantly stack your bells to press that key and drop it on an enemy, smacking it for insane burst damage. You also have Storm Wave for a ranged option, which is extremely spammable and has massive DPS. Then, whenever you consume a power charge, you can activate Charge Staff for an even greater DPS boost, like a Moonveil on crack. Those are all the buttons you have to press. But now, you might be wondering how I build up Freeze, since everything is lightning damage. So let's explain the frozen hybrid part of my build. Tempest Flurry and Storm Wave both shoot out lightning waves, while Charge Staff is active. By putting Cold Infusion on Charge Staff, I'm essentially adding additional cold damage on every single lightning wave, granting both Tempest Flurry and Storm Wave cold damage, and the ability to freeze enemies completely. But then, remember, Tempest Bell takes all elements applied to it and increases damage by 30% for each elemental ailment affecting it, which drastically increases both our lightning and ice damage, and also increases the buildup of our shock and frostbite debuffs. If that's not enough cold damage for you, I even made sure to make Storm Wave deal even more bonus cold damage. When Storm Wave kills something, it gains 35% increased cold damage, which then allows every Storm Wave to apply apply cold damage and freeze enemies. I even gave it Glaciation for more freeze buildup and concentrated effect for a massive boost to its damage. Also, I've introduced the skill Shattering Palm here, as it implants ice shards in an enemy that spreads to surrounding enemies. When taking enough damage, they will all automatically explode, spreading cold and building up freeze around each enemy for a nice domino explosion effect. But putting blind on this skill seems to spread to enemies in the AoE, which when it does, reduces enemy accuracy of attacks on you by 20% for 4 seconds, and potentially applying that blind to everyone around the initial target you strike. Now that you can freeze and shock every enemy on your screen, shocking or freezing will generate a frenzy charge with the skill Combat Frenzy. However, you must have the Resonance Keystone, because it'll automatically convert all frenzy charges into power charges, which you'll need to use to power charge staff, meaning every single shock and frostbite generates 1 power charge around every 6 seconds, and with perpetual charge can have a chance to not consume your power charges, but still grant you the effect of consuming it, allowing you multiple uses of a single charge, and this notable making a single power charge count as double its value, essentially making power charges both automatic and infinitely available. You'll be able to rapidly shock and freeze enemies with my build, and specifically frozen enemies will also trigger Cast on Freeze after enough enemies have been frozen, which will summon an Ice Comet and Frost Bomb, dealing even more cold damage and frost buildup, but also casting conductivity by around 33%, since a majority of our DPS is still lightning, just infusing cold damage into the lightning. This is what allows us to get insanely high DPS while shocking and freezing every enemy on your screen. I'll leave every current skill and skill gem I use after the patch and the nerfs, so you guys can see the finalized version of this build and what exactly I'm running for skills and support gems. Once again, if this helped, be sure to catch me live on Twitch. I stream every day. One of the most popular questions I get asked on stream is what I think the best stats are for Monk Quarterstaff weapons. Well, if you're following my builds, then it would be best to prioritize anything that says % increased elemental damage with attacks. You can get double the value from a rune and from a modifier if you're lucky. I spent a lot of time researching this, and as far as me and everyone in my community have tested, we can verify that while these modifiers are local, the elemental damage on attacks being increased are actually global. Essentially, this increases all elemental damage from monk skills that deal cold or lightning damage. It also feels amazing to get a staff with attack speed, but if you can't get that, bonus levels to melee skills is pretty good too. I personally don't like the melee skills increase because that can also increase mana cost to your abilities, so be careful. Generally, for body gear, you want way more elemental resistances than me, but I get asked a lot for the best stat for monks with armor, evasion, or energy shielding. It really depends. I think early game, it's best to have armor, since you can get a lot of armor early without much strength requirement at all, because armor does require strength. But once you get to New Game Plus, I think evasion starts to be more inherently valuable, especially when paired with blind, makes it very hard for enemies to hit you. Also, try to get some extra spirit from a chest piece or amulet, which is super essential for this build. Now for the stats and passive skill tree. Here are all the minimum stat requirements to use everything in my build. You'll need at least 106 intelligence and 83 dexterity with 120 spirit minimum. Starting off with the Monk Ascendancies, I chose the Acolyte of Chalupa. Do I think Chalupa is better than Invoker? No. I just chose Chalupa because literally everyone else went Invoker. I'm only choosing Chalupa to theorycraft. So far, I really enjoy it, and as you can see from my clips, I'm still very strong. This build works the same regardless of which Ascendancy you choose, but I do think Invoker might be stronger with it. My fellow Chalupas, run this for your first few points, and any Invokers should be running the Blizzard and Avatar state. Yes, I know you can get more Ascendancy points than this, but those Chaos Trials are are a bitch and a half, so good luck getting more. So I doubt most of you will have more than 4 points by now. So this is a great starting point. You can also respec Ascendancy points at the hooded guy who respecs your points. You cannot choose a different Ascendancy, but you can change your points around in your Ascendancy. It is essential that you take the Resonance node over almost any other node in this tree. If you don't take this node, you won't get infinite power charges because this node takes all of the frenzy charges that you're generating with your abilities and turns them into power charges. You can generate frenzy charges way easier than power charges, so we're generating a ton of frenzy charges and then converting them to power charges with the use of this notable. The rest of my skill tree mainly goes for the following. I focus crit chance, crit damage, power charges, attack speed, and attack damage. It's important to note that mostly all monk skills are considered attacks, not spells. Even if they look like spells, they are attacks, which means attack speed and attack damage also increases your skill speed and skill damage, which means attack speed and attack damage benefit all your skills. The most important ones are up here, with quarterstaff bonuses, and down here with chill and shock damage bonuses. The smaller nodes in between, you'll need to choose intelligence or dex, whatever you have less of, because this build requires 106 intelligence and 83 dexterity again, with 120 spirit. Once again, my Twitch link is in the description below. And to end the video, here's a small combat guide. Farm up your power charges by freezing and chilling small enemies with Storm Wave. Make sure to have extra on you in case you get jumped by big enemies, or try to save them if you know you're about to fight a boss. Once you have enough power charges, activate your charge staff. After it's active, you can keep spamming Storm Wave from range, or close the distance with Shattering Palm and build up bell stacks with Tempest Flurry. Call down your bell as soon as you can, and then watch your DPS rip up enemies like a Beyblade, mowing down every enemy in your path. I hope you all enjoyed my Frozen Lightning Monk build for Path of Exile 2. Be sure to spread the word. I've been SYROBE, and I'll see you all live on Twitch. Peace.